Welcome to Outlier Live. So today let's talk about this news that came out yesterday. So Michael Burry, the big short guy, he got famous because of his uh, short position during the housing crisis back in 2008, and there was a movie also which was made. So he got his fame because of that movie. And yesterday, this news came out where we saw that he's taking a short position, bearish options against S&P and Nasdaq 100. So let's look into this. So let me change the screen here. Okay. So his company's name is Cyan Asset Management. So the news came out that he bought put options with a notional value of $739 million against QQQ, which is Invesco's ETF, and 886 million bet against SPY, which is essentially S&P 500. So before we look into this, let's first look into some of the rules around the disclosures, because this is very important, because we need to understand what are those rules are. So any hedge fund with over $100 million in assets, they must disclose their holdings approximately 45 days after the end of each quarter. So this is very important. 45 days. So this news came out yesterday. So what I did was I pulled Cyan Asset Management's holdings. So I saw that this was reported like yesterday. So let's take back 45 days. So essentially, the guy owned these positions in Q2, which is essentially your April, May, and June, sometime between that time frame. Now, it talks about the notional value. Notional value doesn't mean that he spent that much money. Notional value is essentially the underlying value of that asset. So he owns like 20,000 put contracts he owned. I don't know whether he got out of them, because again, this is a very stale information, and people were reacting on the information which is like approximately 3 4 5 months old, right? And I started seeing these videos on YouTube where everybody was like, hey, Michael Burry was is betting against the market. What's going to happen? The market is going to crash down, things like that. But they have to understand that this is stale information. You're talking about 4 months old information. And again, this disclosure that you see here on my screen, it doesn't talk about the expiration date. It doesn't talk about whether he got out of the position or not, because he it is not required to disclose much about the short positions. But yes, if you are above $100 million, you need to disclose about the long position. So that is the requirement. So there is a lot of missing information here. And let's look at what happened in Q2 for S&P 500, for some of the other assets that we saw. So let's start with S&P 500. So I pulled here. So if you look here, that from sometime in April, like if I take a short position sometime during this time frame, I'll probably lose money. And same thing may have happened to him as well, because essentially he took a short position in S&P 500, and if you see, the price is kind of like it's on that upward trajectory. And again, it doesn't talk about whether he exited that position, whether he's still holding it, or whether this contract is just to cover for some other position that he took, to hedge against some other position that he took. So it doesn't talk about that. All we are seeing on news is reaction, that he's going short again, market is going to fall, but I don't think that's happening right now. So this is SPY. Let's look into QQQ. So what I did, I pulled QQQ in outlier dashboard, And just to see in April, right? So in April, the market is kind of going up. April, May, June, QQQ, the price is going up. And if he took a short position around that time, I bet he lost money. At least that's what it's telling me, unless he just liquidated right away. Uh, so, so here you are. So let's look into some of the other holdings for Michael Burry. So essentially, his portfolio consists of companies from finance sector, consumer discretionary, industrial, staples, energy. So he's all over the place. And if you see that some of these positions that he took, like back in Q2, Q1, Q4 2022, so it's a good way to kind of gauge when he got into those positions. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to look into individual stock today, but what I am going to look at some of these sectors, where they are today, and how it did in Q2 as well, just to analyze how he may have done during those times. So let's look into finance sector first. So XLF, I'm looking at XLF, looking at that April time frame, right? So the prices are kind of flat here, but it started going up. So, and if he exited somewhere around here, so again, I don't know whether he is still holding these positions